Africa. Another day, another problem. Real-time programming. Hooray. I need to make a dentist appointment. It's like yesterday. I finally got the whole descriptor set count stuff figured out. Man, this Mac is laggy. So now I can finally put all the pieces together. Cause I don't know, web design is way too complicated. It needs an update. Designing websites sucks. So I gotta get this JavaScript engine done. And probably make a game engine. So I gotta meet the standard whatever. So hopefully I can get done with the video card stuff and get back to JavaScript towards the standard. And technically speaking, there's a couple other standards that I'm gonna have to go through and meet. But this is the big one, whatever. It'd be nice if it's just one standard. But it's more nuanced than that. This is kind of biased. To just pick NVIDIA. I should say AMD and Intel too, because they all kind of suck. The lag is insane. I can't even write. So that, whatever. No, it's just not a video. They both suck. Everything sucks. Why is this lowercase? Let's make it upper. Lag. So, I finally got the whole like JonsScript account thing figured out. So today, I'm like shut up and try to connect all the pieces and get this running. And I hate the streaming software. It looks worse and worse every update. The streaming quality just keeps getting worse. It is so annoying. I can like replace OBS because I don't need this crap. I'm not doing that anytime soon. But theoretically, since I got the whole video card thing figured out, I could technically make a program. And just capture the desktop. And then position whatever parts that are on the screen right now. So I put like prologue in the bottom corner, put BRB. Just put all that stuff on the GPU, load it up into a freaking as a quad or whatever. And then render it and make like 4 buttons to pick between the different scenes. And I can say goodbye to this terrible streaming software. And then I'd be able to send higher quality video. Or at least pick how I compress the video. Because this OBS streaming software is absolute shit. Every single update, it gets worse. Every now and then, it gets better. But the last couple updates, holy fuck. I'm done with this software and there's nothing else. There is, but they suck even worse. This streaming software stuff is so annoying. So theoretically, it's totally possible to say, fuck this shit, and just make my own little fucking program on the fucking GPU and render like 4 scenes. So like this screen, there's only 4. So this. Really fucking simple. So like this screen, this one, and this one. So after I get this shader program done, I'm probably gonna make my own little OBS or some shit. I am tired of crappy software. I literally cannot stand it. I cannot fucking take it. There is nothing wrong with hardware from 5-6 years ago. Or like 2 years ago. These companies are full of shit. Raising the price, new products that do nothing new. But then it's not supported anymore. It's just not fucking cool. What is cool is breaking up corrupt monopolies. That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's gonna be pretty fucking awesome. And I am on my way there. So ready or not? So right now, it only renders quads and they spin. I gotta get stupid image rendered. I finally got the descriptor set stuff working, the counts or whatever. So I gotta like connect all these pieces, get this running. And I think I'm done backtracking. I think I got everything I need. So this is just like 4 quads, whatever. I think I almost can get the image on there. After that, it's just a matter of like getting the rest of it set up. But at some point, I also have to look into frickin' audio processing. I have like a teeny bit. Well, this is like Linux, so I don't know, whatever. But then I could get rid of OBS. This terrible fucking software. I could like preset my own setup, make 4 scenes in the fucking GPU, render it, and send it over YouTube. Get like an API access to the fucking thing, connect the keys, and then send the stream. The quality would be so much better. And then I could like capture the fucking screen and shit, and I could pick exactly how I want to fucking render and compress it. Because this compression shit sick freaking stinks. Everything is shit. I'm literally so tired of trash. And then it's like, oh, just wait till a faster, newer computer comes out. But they don't fix shit. And then it's like a newer computer that's processing the same fucking shit with the same fucking bugs, and they just don't show up until a little bit later. It's so stupid. So at some point, I'm gonna get rid of this streaming software and make my own fucking thing. I also have to get the JavaScript engine done. And I go through like stupid fucking standard. So I'm gonna try to get this stupid video card stuff done today. I'm gonna shut up and just start putting it together. So now I can finally finish up this function. The create descriptor pool. Then I gotta create descriptor sets. So those are the last two. So I have all the stupid counts. It's all pre-computed. With the metadata, or like a separate C header, and clever structuring or whatever to make it auto count. So it's like automated. So I gotta pass those counts in here. And in here. And then I'll just make one on a stack. Because it's like 10 of them, max basically. There's other ones that are like oddball outliers. Those are like huge enums though. So like I'll traverse the things that are appended in the length of the descriptor types that I set up yesterday. Get this shit done. This call. Then there's one call left. And then I will have like finally successfully have gone through this tutorial. Finally get an image on a quad. Expanded it to like render more than just one thing, because the tutorial, it only makes one quad. I can see why though. The complexity, there's no way you can make a basic tutorial and cover everything. It is like a whole thing. You can't just like simply, it's, yeah. So I don't know, I totally understand the complexity, except I don't like this API. It still sucks. And then after that, after I get like the image on there, I'm gonna like export the vertices from Blender. I'll make like Shrek and make a monkey. Really, the sound's not gonna work? Seriously? Test. What's the point of anything? Everything is shit. Fucking fuck. So right now, it just renders these freaking squares. I almost got an image on there. After I get an image on the squares, I'll render like 3D shit. Because these are really boring. Then I could like render a monkey or something on the GPU. And now I gotta like fucking restart the Mac. Because everything is shit. So I'm like, restart the Mac. Then I'm gonna like just try to get some done of this. Super exciting, but not really. Yeah. Nothing works ever. This is so annoying.
13255 Runtime semantics. Property definition evaluation. The syntax-directed operation property definition evaluation takes argument object, an object, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or an abrupt completion. It is defined piecewise over the following productions: property definition list, property definition list, property definition, perform. Property definition evaluation of property definition list with argument object, perform. Property definition evaluation of property definition with argument object, return unused, ECMA International 2024 251. Property definition. Assignment expression, let X per value be. Evaluation of assignment expression, let from value be. Get value, X per value, let excluded names be a new empty list, perform. Copy data properties, object, from value, excluded names, return unused, property definition, identifier reference, let prop name be string value of identifier reference, let X per value be. Evaluation of identifier reference, let prop value be. Get value, X per value, assert, object is an ordinary, extensible object with no non-configurable properties, perform. Create data property or throw, object, prop name, prop value, return unused, property definition, property name, assignment expression, let prop p be. Evaluation of property name. If this property definition is contained within a script that is being evaluated for JSON parse, see step 7 of JSON parse, then a let is proto set to be false. Else if prop key is proto and is computed property key of property name is false, then a let is proto set to be true. Else a let is proto set to be false. If is anonymous function definition, assignment expression, is true and is proto setter is false, then a let prop value be. Named evaluation of assignment expression with argument prop key. Else a let X per value ref be. Evaluation of assignment expression b let prop value be. Get value, X per value ref. If is proto setter is true, then a if prop value is an object or prop value is null, then I perform object, prop value be return unused, assert, object is an ordinary, extensible object with no non-configurable properties, perform. Create data property or throw, object, prop key, prop value 0. Return unused, property definition, method definition, perform. Method definition evaluation of method definition with arguments object and true, return unused. 3, 2, 6 function defining expressions, C15.2 for primary expression, function expression, C15.5 for primary expression, generator expression, C15.7 for primary expression, class expression, C15.8 for primary expression, async function expression, C15.6 for primary expression, async generator expression. 52, copyright sign, ECMA International 2024, 1327 regular expression literal syntax, C12, 9, 5, 3, 2, 7, 1 static semantics, early errors, primary expression, regular expression literal. It is a syntaxer, or if, capital I, S, capital V, A, L, I, D, capital R, E, G, U, L, A, R, capital E, X, P, R, E, S, S, I, O, N, capital L, I, T, E, R, A, regular expression literal, is false. 3, 2, 7, 2 static semantics, capital I, S, capital V, A, L, I, D, capital R, E, G, U, L, A, R, capital E, X, P, R, E, S, S, I, O, N, capital L, I, T, E, R, A, literal. The abstract operation, capital I, S, capital V, A, L, I, D, capital R, E, G, U, L, A, R, capital E, X, P, R, E, S, S, I, O, N, capital L, I, T, E, R, A, takes argument literal, a regular expression literal parse node, and returns a Boolean. It determines if its argument is a valid regular expression literal. It performs the following steps when called. Let flags be flag text of literal. If flags contains any code points other than D, G, I, M, S, U, V, or Y, or if flags contains any code point more than once, return false. If flags contains U, let U be true, else let U be false. If flags contains V, let V be true, else let V be false. Let pattern text be body text of literal. If U is false and V is false, then A let string value be code points to string, pattern text. B set pattern text to the sequence of code points resulting from interpreting each of the 16-bit elements of string value as a Unicode BMP code point. UTF-16 decoding is not applied to the elements. Let parse result be parse pattern, pattern text, U, V. If parse result is a parse node, return true, else return false. 3, 2, 7, 3 runtime semantics. Evaluation primary expression, regular expression literal. Let pattern be code points to string, body text of regular expression literal. Let flags be code points to string, flag text of regular expression literal. Return. regexp create, pattern, flags. 3, 2, 8 template literal syntax. Template literal, yield, await, tagged. No substitution template. Substitution template yield await tagged. Substitution template, yield, await, tagged. Template head expression, plus in yield await. Template spans yield await tagged. Template spans, yield, await, tagged. Template tail. Template middle list yield await tagged. Template tail. ECMA International 2024 253. Template middle list, yield, await, tagged. Template middle expression, plus in yield await. Template middle list yield await tagged. Template middle expression, plus in yield await. 3, 2, 8. 1 static semantics. Early errors. Template literal, yield, await, tagged. No substitution template. It is a syntax error if the tagged parameter was not set and no substitution template contains not escape sequence. Template literal, yield, await, tagged. Substitution template yield await tagged. It is a syntax error if the number of elements in the result of template strings of template literal with argument false is greater than or equal to 232. Substitution template, yield, await, tagged. Template head expression, plus in yield await. Template spans yield await tagged. It is a syntax error if the tagged parameter was not set and template head contains not escape sequence. Template spans, yield, await, tagged. Template tail. It is a syntax error if the tagged parameter was not set and template tail contains not escape sequence. Template middle list, yield, await, tagged. Template middle expression, plus in yield await. Template middle list yield await tagged. Template middle expression, plus in yield await. It is a syntax error if the tagged parameter was not set and template middle contains not escape sequence. 3, 2, 8. 2 static semantics. Template strings. The syntax-directed operation template strings takes argument raw, a boolean, and returns a list of either strings or undefined. It is defined piecewise over the following productions. Template literal, no substitution template. Return template string, no substitution template. Raw. Substitution template. Template head expression template spans. Let head be template string. Template head. Raw. Let tail be template strings of template spans with argument raw. Return the list concatenation of head and tail. Template spans. Template tail. Return template string. Template tail. Raw. Template spans. Template middle list template tail. Let middle be template strings of template middle list with argument raw. Let tail be template string. Template tail. Raw. Return the list concatenation of middle and tail. 54. ECMA International 2024. Template middle list. Template middle expression 1. Return template string. Template middle. Raw. Template middle list. Template middle list template middle expression. Let front be template strings of template middle list with argument raw. Let last be template string. Template middle. Raw. Return the list concatenation of front and last. 3, 2, 8. 3 static semantics. Template string. Template token. Raw. The abstract operation template string takes arguments template token, a no substitution template parse node, a template head parse node, a template middle parse node, or a template tail parse node, and raw, a boolean, and returns a string or undefined. It performs the following steps when called if raw is true. Then, a let string be the TRV of template token, else, a let string be the TV of template token, return string. 3, 2, 8. 4 get template object. template literal. The abstract operation get template object takes argument template literal, a parse node, and returns an array. It performs the following steps when called. Let realm be the current realm record. Let template registry be realm. For each element of template registry, do a if E is the same parse node as template literal, then I return E. Let raw strings be template strings of template literal with argument true. Assert. Raw strings is a list of strings. Let cook strings be template strings of template literal with argument false. Let count be the number of elements in the list cook strings. Assert. Count 232 1. Let template be array create count 0. Let raw obj be array create count 1. Let index be 0 2. Repeat. While index count a let prop be to string index b let cook value be cook strings index c perform. Define property or throw template prop property descriptor alu cook value writable false true false. D let raw value be the string value raw strings index e perform. Define property or throw raw obj prop property descriptor raw value false true false. F set index to index plus 1 3 perform. Set integrity level raw obj frozen 4 perform. Define property or throw template raw property descriptor raw obj false enumerable false false 5 perform. Set integrity level template frozen 6 append the record template literal template to realm 7 return template. Note this operation returns undefined if raw is false and template token contains a not escape sequence. In all other cases, it returns a string. ECMA International 2024-255. Note 1. The creation of a template object cannot result in an abrupt completion. Note 2. Each template literal in the program code of a realm is associated with a unique template object that is used in the evaluation of tagged templates. 1 3 2 8 6. The template objects are frozen and the same template object is used each time a specific tagged template is evaluated. Whether template objects are created lazily upon first evaluation of the template literal or eagerly prior to first evaluation is an implementation choice that is not observable to EMCA-script code. 1 3 2 8 5 Runtime semantics. Substitution evaluation. The syntax-directed operation substitution evaluation takes no arguments and returns either a normal completion containing a list of EMCA-script language values or an abrupt completion. It is defined piecewise over the following productions. Template spans, template tail, return a new empty list. Template spans, template middle list, template tail, return. Substitution evaluation of template middle list. Template middle list, template middle expression, let subref be. Evaluation of expression, let sub be. Get value, subref, return sub, template middle list, template middle list, template middle expression, let preceding be. Substitution evaluation of template middle list, let next ref be. Evaluation of expression, let next be. Get value, next ref, return the list concatenation of preceding and next. 3 2 8 6 Runtime semantics. Evaluation, template literal, no substitution template. Return the TV of no substitution template as defined in 1 2 9 6. Substitution template. Template head expression template spans. Let head be the TV of template head as defined in 1 2 9 6. Let subref be. Evaluation of expression. Let sub be. Get value, subref. Let middle be. To string, sub. Let tail be. Evaluation of template spans. Return the string concatenation of head, middle, and tail. 56. ECMA International 2024. Note 3. Future editions of this specification may define additional non-enumerable properties of template objects. Note 1. The string conversion semantics applied to the expression value alike string prototype concat rather than the plus operator. Template spans, template tail. Return the TV of template tail as defined in 1 2 9 6. Template spans, template middle list, template tail. Let it be. Evaluation of template middle list. Let tail be the TV of template tail as defined in 1 2 9 6. Return the string concatenation of head and tail. Template middle list, template middle expression. Let head be the TV of template middle as defined in 1 2 9 6. Let subref be. Evaluation of expression. Let sub be. Get value, subref. Let middle be. To string, sub. Return the string concatenation of head and middle. Template middle list, template middle list template middle expression. Let rest be. Evaluation of template middle list. Let middle be the TV of template middle is defined in 1, 2, 9, 6. Let subref be. Evaluation of expression. Let sub be. Get value. Subref. Let last be. To string. Sub. Return the string concatenation of rest, middle, and last. 3, 2, 9. The grouping operator. 3, 2, 9. 1. Static semantics. Early errors. Primary expression. Capital C O V E R. Capital P A R E N T H E S I Z E D. Capital E X P R E S S I O N. Capital A N. Capital C O V E R. Capital P A R E N T H E S I Z E D. Capital E X P R E S S I O N. Capital A N. Must cover a parenthesized expression. 3, 2, 9. 2. Runtime semantics. Evaluation. Primary expression. Capital C O V E R. Capital P A R E N T. Declaration. A since-generated declaration and variable declaration bindings in global code for the associate's own property, global object. N. If existing prop is true, then A let status be. Obj delete binding. N. B. If status is true and envrec contains N, then I remove N from envrec. C. Return status. Return true, 1, 1, 4. 8 has this binding. The has this binding concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes no arguments and returns true. It performs the following steps when called return true, 1, 1, 4. 9 has superbinding. The has superbinding concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes no arguments and returns false. It performs the following steps when called return false, 1, 1, 4. 1, 0 with base object. The with base object concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes no arguments and returns undefined. It performs the following steps when called return undefined. 9, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1 get this binding. The get this binding concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes no arguments and returns a normal completion containing an object. It performs the following steps when called return envrec. 146. ECMA International 2024. Note: global environment records always provide this binding. Note: global environment records do not provide a superbinding. 9, 1, 1, 4, 1, 2 has var declaration. N. The has var declaration concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes argument N, a string, and returns a boolean. It determines if the argument identifier has a binding in this record that was created using a variable statement or a function declaration. It performs the following steps when called let var declared names be envrec. If var declared names contains N, return true, return false, 1, 1, 4, 1, 3 has lexical declaration. N. The has lexical declaration concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes argument N, a string, and returns a boolean. It determines if the argument identifier has a binding in this record that was created using a lexical declaration such as a lexical declaration or a class declaration. It performs the following steps when called let dclrec be envrec. Return. dclrec has binding N, 1, 1, 4, 1, 4 has restricted global property. N. The has restricted global property concrete method of a global environment record envrec takes argument N, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if the argument identifier is the name of a property of the global object that must not be shadowed by a global lexical binding. It performs the following steps when called let objrec be envrec. Let global object be objrec. Let existing prop be global object. N. If existing prop is undefined, return false. If existing prop is true, return false. Return true, the 1st of April 2015 can declare global var N. The can declare global var concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes argument N, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if a corresponding create global var binding call would succeed if called for the same argument and redundant var declarations and var declarations for pre-existing global object properties are allowed. It performs the following steps when called: let obj-rec be env-rec, let global object be obj-rec, let has property b, has own property, global object, n if has property is true, return true, return is extensible, global object. Note properties may exist upon a global object that were directly created rather than being declared using a var or function declaration. A global lexical binding may not be created that has the same name as a non-configurable property of the global object. The global property undefined is an example of such a property. ECMA International 2024 147, 9, 1, 1, 4, 1, 6 can declare global function N. The can declare global function concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes argument N, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if a corresponding create global function binding call would succeed if called for the same argument, and it performs the following steps when called: let obj-rec be env-rec, let global object be obj-rec, let existing prop be global object, n if existing prop is undefined, return is extensible, global object if existing prop is true, return true if is data descriptor, existing prop is true and existing prop has attribute values, true, enumerable, true, return false, 1, 1, 4, 1, 7 create global var binding, n, d, the create global var binding concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes arguments n, a string, and e, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It creates and initializes a mutable binding in the associated object environment record and records the bound name in the associated list. If a binding already exists, it is reused and assumed to be initialized. It performs the following steps when called: let obj-rec be env-rec, let global object be obj-rec, let has property b, has own property, global object, n, let extensible be, is extensible, global object, if has property is false and extensible is true, then a perform. Obj-rec create mutable binding, n, d, b perform. Obj-rec initialize binding, n, undefined. If env-rec does not contain n, then a append enter env-rec 7. Return unused, 1, 1, 4, 1, 8 create global function binding, n, v, d, the create global function binding can crep, e method of a global environment record env-rec takes arguments n, a string, v, an EMCA-script language value, and e, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It creates and initializes a mutable binding in the associated object environment record and records the bound name in the associated list. If a binding already exists, it is 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 replaced. It performs the following steps when called: let obj-rec be env-rec, let global object be obj-rec, let existing prop be global object, n if existing prop is undefined or existing prop is true, then a let desc be the property descriptor, v, true, true, d, else a let desc be the property descriptor, v, perform. Define property or throw, global object, n, desc, perform. Set, global object, n, v, false. If env-rec does not contain n, then a append enter env-rec. Return unused, 48, ECMA International 2024. Note global function declarations are always represented as own properties of the global object. If possible, an existing own property is reconfigured to have a standard set of attribute values. Step 7 is equivalent to what calling the initialize binding concrete method would do, and if global object is a proxy will produce the same sequence of proxy trap calls, 1, 1, 5 module environment records, A module environment record is a declarative environment record that is used to represent the outer scope of an EMCA-script module. In addition to normal mutable and immutable bindings, module environment records also provide immutable import bindings, which are bindings that provide indirect access to a target binding that exists in another environment record. Module environment records support all of the declarative environment record methods listed in Table 16 and share the same specifications for all of those methods except for getBindingValue, deleteBinding, hasThisBinding, and getThisBinding. In addition, module environment records support the methods listed in Table 22. Table 22, additional methods of module environment records. The behavior of the additional concrete specification methods for module environment records are defined by the following algorithms. 1, 1, 5, 1 getBindingValue, n, s. The getBindingValue concrete method of a module environment record envrec takes arguments n, a string, and s, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing an EMCA-script language value or a throw completion. It returns the value of its bound identifier whose name is n. However, if the binding is an indirect binding, the value of the target binding is returned. If the binding exists but is uninitialized, a reference error is thrown. It performs the following steps when called assert. S is true, assert. envrec has a binding for n. If the binding for n is an indirect binding, then a let m and n2 be the indirection values provided when this binding for n was created. B let target env be m. C if target env is empty, throw a reference error exception. D return target env getBindingValue. N2 true. If the binding for n in envrec is an uninitialized binding, throw a reference error exception. Return the value currently bound to n in envrec. Note S will always be true because a module is always strict mode code 9, 1, 1, 5, 2 delete binding, n. The delete binding concrete method of a module environment record is never used within this specification. Method purpose create import binding, n, m, n2 create an immutable indirect binding in a module environment record. The string value n is the text of the bound name. M is a module record, and n2 is a binding that exists in m's module environment record. Get this binding, return the value of this environment records this binding. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024 149. Note module environment records are only used within strict code, and an early error rule prevents the delete operator, in strict code, from being applied to a reference record that would resolve to a module environment record binding. C13, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 3 has this binding. The has this binding concrete method of a module environment record envrec takes no arguments and returns true. It performs the following steps when called return true, 1, 1, 5, 4 get this binding. The get this binding concrete method of a module environment record envrec takes no arguments and returns a normal completion containing undefined. It performs the following steps when called return undefined, 1, 1, 5, 5 create import binding, n, m, n2. The create import binding concrete method of a module environment record envrec takes arguments n, a string, m, a module record, and n2, a string, and returns unused. It creates a new initialized immutable indirect binding for the name n. A binding must not already exist in this environment record for n. N2 is the name of a binding that exists in m's module environment record. Accesses to the value of the new binding will indirectly access the bound value of the target binding. It performs the following steps when called assert. envrec does not already have a binding for n. Assert. When m is instantiated, it will have a direct binding for n2. Create an immutable indirect binding in envrec for n that references m and n2 as its target binding, and record that the binding is initialized. Return unused, 1.2 environment record operations. The following abstract operations are used in this specification to operate upon environment records. 9, 1, 2, 1 get identifier reference, env, name, strict. The abstract operation get identifier reference takes arguments env, an environment record or null, name, a string, and strict, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing a reference record or a throw completion. It performs the following steps when called. If env is null, then A return the reference record. Unresolvable. Name. Strict. This value. Empty. Let exists be env has binding. Name. If exists is true, then A return the reference record. env. Name. Strict. Empty. Else. 150. ECMA International 2024. Note. Module environment records always provided this binding. AB. Let outer be env. Return. Get identifier reference. Outer. Name. Strict. 9. 1. 2. To new declarative environment. E. The abstract operation new declarative environment takes argument E, an environment record or null, and returns a declarative environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new declarative environment record containing no bindings. Set env to E. Return env, 1, 2, 3 new object environment. O, W, E. The abstract operation new object environment takes arguments O, an object, W, a boolean, and E, an environment record or null, and returns an object environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new object environment record. Set env to O. Set env to W. Set env to E. Return env, 1, 2, 4 new function environment. F. New target. The abstract operation new function environment takes arguments F, an EMCA-script function object, and new target, an object or undefined, and returns a function environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new function environment record containing no bindings. Set env to F. If F is lexical, set env to lexical. Else. Set env to uninitialized. Set env to new target. Set env to F. Return env, 1, 2, 5 new global environment. G. This value. The abstract operation new global environment takes arguments G, an object, and this value, an object, and returns a global environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let obj be new object environment. G. False. Null. Let DCL be new declarative environment. Null. Let env be a new global environment record. Set env to obj rec. Set env to this value. Set env to DCL rec. Set env to a new empty list. Set env to null. Return env, 1, 2, 6 new module environment. E. The abstract operation new module environment takes argument E, an environment record, and returns a module environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new module environment record containing no bindings. Set env to E. Return env. ECMA International 2024 151 9.2 Private environment records. A private environment record is a specification mechanism used to track private names based upon the lexical nesting structure of class declarations and class expressions in EMCA-script code. They are similar to, but distinct from, environment records. Each private environment record is associated with a class declaration or class expression. Each time such a class is evaluated, a new private environment record is created to record the private names declared by that class. Each private environment record has the fields defined in Table 23. Table 23. Private environment record fields. Field name, value type, meaning, outer private environment. A. Private environment record or null. The private environment record of the nearest containing class null if the class with which this private environment record is associated is not contained in any other class. Names. A list of private names. The private names declared by this class. 9. 2. 1 private environment record operations. The following abstract operations are used in this specification to operate upon private environment records. 9. 2. 1. 1 new private environment. Outer privy NV. The abstract operation new private environment takes argument outer privy NV, a private environment record or null, and returns a private environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let names be a new empty list. Return the private environment record. Outer privy NV. Names, 2, 1. To resolve private identifier. privy NV, identifier. The abstract operation resolve private identifier takes arguments privy NV, a private environment record, and identifier, a string, and returns a private name. It performs the following steps when called let names be privy NV. For each private name Pn of names, do A if Pn is identifier. Then, I return Pn. Let outer privy NV be privy NV. Assert. Outer privy NV is not null. Return resolve private identifier. Outer privy NV, identifier. Point 3 realms. Before it is evaluated, all ECMA script code must be associated with a realm. Conceptually, a realm consists of a set of intrinsic objects, an ECMA script global environment, all of the ECMA script code that is loaded within the scope of that global environment, and other associated state and resources. A realm is represented in this specification as a realm record with the fields specified in Table 24:52, copyright sign, ECMA International 2024, Table 24. Realm record fields, field name, agent signifier, intrinsics, global object, global ENV, template map, an object or undefined value, an agent signifier, a record whose field names are intrinsic keys and whose values are objects, a global environment record, a list of records with fields, a template literal parse node, and V, an array, F, the agent that owns this realm, the global object for this realm, the G, global environment for this realm, meaning, the intrinsic values used by code associated with this realm, a list of records, with fields are, a string, and, a module record. Note 1: once a parse node becomes unreachable, the corresponding is also unreachable, and it would be unobservable if an implementation removed the pair from the list. Anything default value is undefined. Note 2: as mentioned in host load imported module 16.2.1.8 Note 1, in realm records is only used when running an import expression in a context where there is no active script or module field reserved for use by hosts that need to associate additional information with a realm record. Template objects are canonicalized separately for each realm using its realm records. Each value is a parse node that is a template literal. The associated ALU is the corresponding template object that is passed to a tag function, a map from the specifier strings imported by this realm to the solved module record. The list does not contain two different records with the same 9.3.1 create realm. The abstract operation create realm takes no arguments and returns a realm record. It performs the following steps when called let realm rec be a new realm record. Perform create intrinsics. Realm rec, set realm rec to agent signifier, set realm rec to undefined, set realm rec to undefined, set realm rec to a new empty list, return realm rec, ECMA International 2024 153, 9.3. 2 create intrinsics. Realm rec, the abstract operation create intrinsics takes argument realm rec, a realm record, and returns unused. It performs the following steps when called set realm rec to a new record. Set fields of realm rec with the values listed in Table 6. The field names are the names listed in column 1 of the table. The value of each field is a new object value fully and recursively populated with property values as defined by the specification of each object in clauses 19 through 28. All object property values are newly created object values. All values that are built-in function objects are created by performing create built-in function steps, length, name, slots, realm rec, prototype, where steps is the definition of that function provided by this specification. Name is the initial value of the function's name property. Length is the initial value of the function's length property. Slots is a list of the names, if any, of the function's specified internal slots. And prototype is the specified value of the function's internal slot. The creation of the intrinsics and their properties must be ordered to avoid any dependencies upon objects that have not yet been created. Perform add restrict. Ed function properties. Realm rec, return unused, 3.3 set realm global object, realm rec, global OBJ. This value, the abstract operation set realm global object takes arguments realm rec, a realm record, global OBJ, an object or undefined, and this value, an object or undefined, and returns unused. It performs the following steps when called if global OBJ is undefined. Then, A. Let intrinsics be realm rec. B. Set global OBJ to ordinary object create. Intrinsics. Assert. Global OBJ is an object if this value is undefined. Set this value to global OBJ, set realm rec to global OBJ, let new global env be new global environment, global OBJ, this value, set realm rec to new global env, return unused, 3.4 set default global bindings, realm rec. The abstract operation set default global bindings takes argument realm rec, a realm record, and returns either a normal completion containing an object or a throw completion. It performs the following steps when called let global be realm rec. For each property of the global object specified in clause 19, do A. Let name be the string value of the property name. B. Let desc be the fully populated data property descriptor for the property, containing the specified attributes for the property. For properties listed in 19.2, 19.3, or 19.4, the value of the attribute is the corresponding intrinsic object from realm rec. C. Perform. Define property or throw. Global. Name. Desc. Return global. Point 4 execution contexts. An execution context is a specification device that is used to track the runtime evaluation of code by an EMCA-script implementation. At any point in time, there is at most one execution context per agent that is actually executing code. This is known as the agent's running execution context. All references to the running execution context in this specification denote the running execution context of the surrounding agent. The execution context stack is used to track execution contexts. The running execution context is always the top element of this stack. A new execution context is created whenever control is transferred from the executable code associated with the currently running execution context to executable code that is not associated with that. 54. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024. Execution context. The newly created execution context is pushed onto the stack and becomes the running execution context. An execution context contains whatever implementation-specific state is necessary to track the execution progress of its associated code. Each execution context has at least the state components listed in Table 25. Table 25. State components for all execution contexts. Component. Purpose. Code evaluation state. Any state needed to perform, suspend, and resume evaluation of the code associated with this execution context. Function. If this execution context is evaluating the code of a function object, then the value of this component is that function object. If the context is evaluating the code of a script or module, the value is null. Realm. The realm record from which associated code accesses EMCA-script resources, script or module. The module record or script record from which associated code originates. If there is no originating script or module, as is the case for the original execution context created in initialize host-defined realm, the value is null. Evaluation of code by the running execution context may be suspended at various points defined within this specification. Once the running execution context has been suspended, a different execution context may become the running execution context and commence evaluating its code. At some later time, a suspended execution context may again become the running execution context and continue evaluating its code at the point where it had previously been suspended. Transition of the running execution context status among execution contexts usually occurs in stack-like last in first out manner. However, some EMCA-script features require non-LIFO transitions of the running execution context. The value of the realm component of the running execution context is also called the current realm record. The value of the function component of the running execution context is also called the active function object. EMCA-script code execution contexts have the additional state components listed in Table 26. Table 26. Additional state components for EMCA-script code execution contexts. Component. Purpose. Lexical environment. Identifies the environment record used to resolve identifier references made by code within this execution context. Variable environment. Identifies the environment record that holds bindings created by variable statements within this execution context. Private environment identifies the private environment record that holds private names created by class elements in the nearest containing class null if there is no containing class. The lexical environment and variable environment components of an execution context are always environment records. Execution contexts representing the evaluation of generators have the additional state components listed in Table 27, ECMA International 2024-155. Table 27, additional state components for generator execution contexts. In most situations, only the running execution context, the top of the execution context stack, is directly manipulated by algorithms within this specification. Hence, when the terms lexical environment and variable environment are used without qualification, they are in reference to those components of the running execution context. An execution context is purely a specification mechanism and need not correspond to any particular artifact of an ECMA-script implementation. It is impossible for ECMA-script code to directly access or observe an execution context. 4.1 Get active script for module. The abstract operation get active script for module takes no arguments and returns a script record, a module record, or null. It is used to determine the running script for module based on the running execution context. It performs the following steps when called. If the execution context stack is empty, return null. Let EC be the topmost execution context on the execution context stack whose script or module component is not null. If no such execution context exists, return null. Otherwise, return X script or module. 4.2 Resolve binding, name, env. The abstract operation resolve binding takes argument name, a string, and optional argument env, an environment record or undefined, and returns either a normal completion containing a reference record or a throw completion. It is used to determine the binding of name env can be used to explicitly provide the environment record that is to be searched for the binding. It performs the following steps when called. If env is not present or env is undefined, then A set env to the running execution context's lexical environment. Assert env is an environment record if the source text matched by the syntactic production that is being evaluated is contained in strict mode. Code, let strict be true, else let strict be false. Return, get identifier reference, env, name, strict. 4.3 Get this environment. The abstract operation get this environment takes no arguments and returns an environment record. It finds the environment record that currently supplies the binding of the keyword this. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be the running execution context's lexical environment too. Repeat. Component purpose. Generator the generator that this execution context is evaluating. 156. ECMA International 2024. Note the result of resolve binding is always a reference record whose field is name ABCDE. Let exists be env has this binding. If exists is true, return env. Let outer be env. Assert outer is not null. Set env to outer. Note the loop in step 2 will always terminate because the list of environments always ends with the global environment which has this binding. 4.4 Resolve this binding. The abstract operation resolve this binding takes no arguments and returns either a normal completion contained on an ECMA script language value or a throw completion. It determines the binding of the keyword this using the lexical environment of the running execution context. It performs the following steps when called. Let env-rec beget this environment. Return env-rec get this binding. 4.5 Get new target. The abstract operation get new target takes no arguments and returns an object or undefined. It determines the new target value using the lexical environment of the running execution context. It performs the following steps when called. Let env-rec beget this environment. Assert env-rec has a field. Return env-rec. 4.6 Get global object. The abstract operation get global object takes no arguments and returns an object. It returns the global object used by the currently running execution context. It performs the following steps when called. 2.5 Let current realm be the current realm record. Return current realm. Jobs and host operations to enquire jobs. A job is an abstract closure with no parameters that initiates an ECMA script computation when no other ECMA script computation is currently in progress. Jobs are scheduled for execution by ECMA script host environments in a particular agent. This specification describes the host hook's host-enqueue generic job. Capital H O S T capital E N Q U E U E capital F I N A L I Z A T I O N capital R E G I S T R host-enqueue promise job and host-enqueue timeout job to schedule jobs. The host hooks in this specification are organized by the additional constraints imposed on the scheduling of jobs. Hosts may define additional abstract operations which schedule jobs. Such operations accept a job abstract closure and a realm record or null, as parameters. If a realm record is provided, these operations schedule the job to be performed at some future time in the provided realm, in the agent that owns the realm. If null is provided instead for the realm, then the job does not evaluate ECMA script code. Their implementations must conform to the following requirements. At some future point in time, when there is no running context in the agent for which the job is scheduled and that agent's execution context stack is empty, the implementation must perform any host-defined preparation steps, invoke the job abstract closure, perform any host-defined cleanup steps, after which the execution context stack must be empty. Only one job may be actively undergoing evaluation at any point in time in an agent. Once evaluation of a job starts, it must run to completion before evaluation of any other job starts in an agent. The abstract closure must return a normal completion, implementing its own handling of errors. ECMA International 2024-157. Note 1: host environments are not required to treat jobs uniformly with respect to scheduling. For example, web browsers and Node.js treat promise handling jobs as a higher priority than other work. Future features may add jobs that are not treated at such a high priority at any particular time. Script or module. A script record, a module record, or null, is the active script or module if all of the following conditions are true. Get active script or module. Is script or module. If script or module is a script record or module record. Let EC be the topmost execution context on the execution context stack whose script or module component is script or module. The realm component of EC is script or module. At any particular time, an execution is prepared to evaluate ECMA script T-code if all of the following conditions are true. The execution context stack is not empty. The realm component of the topmost execution context on the execution context stack is a realm record. Particular kinds of jobs have additional conformance requirements. 5.1 Job callback records. A job callback record is a record value used to store a function object and a host-defined value. Function objects that are invoked via a job enqueue by the host may have additional host-defined context. To propagate the state, job abstract closures should not capture and call function objects directly. Instead, use host make job callback and host call job callback. Job callback records have the fields listed in Table 28. Table 28. Job callback record fields, 5.2 host make job callback. Callback. The host-defined abstract operation host make job callback takes argument callback, a function object, and returns a job callback record. An implementation of host make job callback must conform to the following requirements. It must return a job callback record whose field is callback. Note 2: host environments may prepare an execution to evaluate code by pushing execution contexts onto the execution context stack. The specific steps are implementation defined. The specific choice of realm is up to the host environment. This initial execution context and realm is only in use before any callback function is invoked. When a callback function related to a job, like a promise handler, is invoked, the invocation pushes its own execution context and realm. Note the WHATWG-HTML specification, https://html.spec.whatwg.org, for example, uses the host-defined value to propagate the incumbent settings object for promise callbacks. field name, value, meaning, callback, a function object, the function to invoke when the job is invoked, host defined, anything default value is empty, field reserved for use by hosts, 158, ECMA International 2024. The default implementation of host make job callback performs the following steps when called. 1. Return the job callback record. Callback. Empty. ECMA script hosts that are not web browsers must use the default implementation of host make job callback, 5.3 host call job callback. Job callback. V. Arguments list. The host-defined abstract operation host call job callback takes arguments job callback, a job callback record, V, an ECMA script language value, and arguments list, a list of ECMA script language values, and returns either a normal completion containing an ECMA script language value or a throw completion. An implementation of host call job callback must conform to the following requirements. It must perform and return the result of call. Job callback. V. Arguments list. The default implementation of host call job callback performs the following steps when called. Assert. Is callable. Job callback. Is true. Return. Call. Job callback. Callback.
I think I finally found
A script hosts that are not
like a redeeming quality
implementation.
in the Vulkan API.
Callback, 5.4 host language generic
If it's like set up
realm.
where you can like pick an ID,
Abstract operation host enquid generic job takes arguments job, a job abstract closure, and realm, a
so like for the binding,
returns unused. It schedules job in the realm in the agent signified by realm to be performed at some future.
layout whatever of the shader.
Closures used with this algorithm are intended to be scheduled,
The set thing where you have like,
such as priority and ordering. An implementation
I'm trying to like wrap around
job must conform to the requirement.
how to
9. 5.
utilize
Job. Job.
as much of the GPU as possible.
Operation.
It's very difficult
This job takes arguments job.
because like
Closure and realm, a realm record or null, and returns unused. It schedules job to be performed.
it's
The abstract closures used with this algorithm are intended to be related to the handling of
the GPU sucks.
priors, to be scheduled with equal
The whole setup.
promise handling operations. And
I think also
we promise job
NVIDIA is that they're at like,
5 as well as the following. If realm is not null, each time
I think they hit their peak or whatever it's called.
implementation defines steps such that execute is prepared to evaluate
So like companies, whatever,
script code at the time of job's invocation. Let script or module beget active script
or not always, just they tend, whatever.
job is invoked. If realm is not null, each time job is invoked.
The company starts out whatever,
Form implementation defines steps such that script or
over time, whatever, and then they hit their peak.
time of job's invocation. Jobs must
And that's called the peak because from there,
this job in
they go down.
them. Note this is called at the time that the callback is passed to the function that is responsible for its being
So like NVIDIA,
run. For
they're not known for making anything new.
action, call,
They just kind of like
then action,
buy up the competition
then, not at the time.
and then they shit on it.
Requirement means that hosts cannot change the behavior of function objects defined in this specification. ECMA
So like 3dfx,
59. Note the realm for jobs returned by new promise resolved thenable job is usually the result of calling get function realm on the then function object. The realm for jobs returned by new promise reaction job is usually the result of call
the
realm on the handler if
they had a 3dfx video card
undefined
with 2 texture mapping
for
units on board.
when get function realm completes abnormal
And then NVIDIA bought them
proxy
and then they got rid of the 2 units
time of the get
and they made to like a 1-chip design.
is null. No user ECMA script code will be evaluated and
So like 3dfx, they were an actual
will be
video card company.
the W
They made video cards for like vending machines, not vending machines,
HTTP
like arcade machines.
slash
So they actually made shit.
dot spec
And then NVIDIA like put them out of business. And then they bought them to absorb their technology.
script and
So like SLI, that came from 3dfx Voodoo.
HTML dot spec dot whatwg dot org entry concept, 5.6 host enquid timeout job Realm. Milliseconds. The host-defined abstract operation host enqueue timeout job takes arguments timeout job.
The multi-GPU technology known as SLI
Realm record.
originated with 3dfx.
And non-negative finite.
So NVIDIA,
Unused.
they pretty much hit their peak.
Realm in the agent to be
It's all down from here.
milliseconds. An implementation of host enqueue
I think that's why
form to the request.
they're tied in with AI,
9 points.
because video gaming
Find realm.
is a niche,
Operation initialize
and they can't meet
and return.
the niche anymore.
Completion containing unused store throw completion. It performs the following steps when called. Let realm be create realm. Let new context be a new execution context. Set the function of new context to null. Set the realm of new context to realm.
Because they can't
Deal of new
produce anything new.
text onto the execution.
Because like 90% of NVIDIA
Now the run
was taken
context.
from other companies that were absorbed.
Exotic object to set
So since there's no one
object
in the market to like absorb,
created in a host-defined manner. Otherwise,
they gotta like switch it up.
undefined.
And they're like, oh, we do AI now.
Is the global object. If the host requires that this binding in realm's global scope return an object other than the global object, let this value be such an object created in a host-defined manner. Otherwise, let this value be undefined, indicating that realm's global
So now they're like a video game
set realm globe
AI
realm globe
card.
value
I guess they're hoping by switching to AI,
maybe set default global bindings realm 1. Create any host-defined global object properties on globe
that's gonna like keep them on the up and up.
unused. 0.7 agents. An agent comprise is a set of ECMA script
Before, of course, it all goes down.
execution context stack, a running execution context, an agent record, and an executing thread.
NVIDIA is a sad
Thread
company.
constituents of an agent belong
Like in Toy Story, whatever.
agent
It's like Buzz Lightyear is just a sad little man.
execution
That's literally NVIDIA.
other agents, except that an
Without these other companies
executing
absorbing them,
agents
NVIDIA would be nothing.
sharing the thread have an agent record whose field is true. Not
But they also buy the tech from other companies
across multiple unrelated.
and they like shit on it.
For example,
It's not as
copyright
it
sign,
doesn't work as good
national 2000
because it's not by the original company.
executing thread is
But I guess they win in the end.
steps. The agent is the surrounding agent.
They won themselves right to the peak.
The surrounding agent to access the specification level execution objects held within the agent. The running execution,
And now I got nothing left.
the execution,
So like NVIDIA,
and the agent record. S fields. An agent signifier is a globally unique opaque value used to identify an agent. Table 29. Agent record fields.
NVIDIA acquired the assets of 3dfx
Little ND.
in 2000,
The
effectively ending the iconic voodoo brand
parameter window
known for pioneering 3D
and set
with its dedicated accelerators,
is in
bringing its technology and talent into NVIDIA.
that is most efficient.
Fold amidst financial struggles for 3dfx,
Has been observed it cannot
blah 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 blah.
a bool.
NVIDIA sucks.
The agent can block or not. Signifier.
So like the GPU
Fire. Uniquely identified.
is based off some really old shit,
Is lock-free 1. A boolean. True if atomic operation.
and it kind of sucks.
Values are lock-free. False otherwise. Is lock
So it's really difficult to like figure out
if atomic operation.
how
Values are lock-free. False otherwise. Is lock
to make use of it,
in. True if atomic operations are
except the Vulkan API, whatever.
false otherwise. Can
The binding,
A. Candidate execution record. See the memory model. Kept alive. A list of either objects or symbols. Initially a new empty list. Representing the list
if
or symbols to be kept alive.
it's how chatbot says whatever, it might not be.
It's the values of and have been observed by
Then it'd be possible to like
clustered.
set up the binding
Note 2. The value
and set up groups
necessarily determined by
and categorize them,
may also reflect implementation choice.
put like internal fixed usage things
MA
to like groups or whatever.
is no field.
Put GUI textures, player texture, lane texture,
Practice
and inside lane texture,
is implemented.
land texture.
The operation
Have like
free. Lock
I don't know, dirt textures, rock, water,
is no upper bound.
sky textures,
Steps may be required to complete a
put like skybox gradients, skybox clouds, animals, birds of prey,
imply an
the prey animals.
atomic
I don't know.
atomic accesses of
If it works like this, at least now,
atomic access.
there's some way to organize things.
Several separate memory accesses
And that'd be really, really useful.
and right.
Because like right now, or up to this point,
ECMA International 2020
everything sucks. It's so frustrating.
Note 3 an agent
And I still gotta figure out
mechanism and need not correspond to any particular artifact.
descriptor sets.
Script implementation, 7.1 agent signifier. The abstract operation agent signifier takes no arguments and returns and
Because grouping things by frame
forms the following
and then by material
RB the agent record of the surrounding
and then object or whatever on scene.
.2 agent can suspend. The abstract
It seems like generic and simple
argument
and it makes sense.
Boolean. It performs the following steps when called to
But
ARB the agent record of the surrounding agent. Return AR.
yeah.
Note in some environments it may
And then
call for a given
I think it's technically possible to like render things
call in a
separate from the main image.
may be reason
So you can't have like one image rendering
handling threat
or two at the same time, whatever.
following workers event handling.
Because the GPU has like
Agent cluster is a maximal set of agents
whatever
by operating.
shaders and shit.
Every agent belongs to exactly one agent cluster. All agents within a cluster must have the same value for the field in their respective agent records. All agents within a cluster must have the same values for the field in their respective agent records. Similarly for the field, all agents within a cluster must have different values for the field in their respective agent records. An embedding may deactivate
So like whatever resources, if there's four or whatever,
or activate
I think they all go to like the current image that's being rendered.
the agent's knowledge or cooperation. If the embedding does so, it must not leave
So like to render two images or like to have one
cluster
image or whatever,
immediately. Note 1 programs within different agents may share
or like two instead of one.
means. At a minimum, the backing memory for shared array buffers can be shared among the agents in the cluster. There may
Since the GPU like sends
be by
all resources to like the current image.
they are never in the same agent cluster. Note to the agents in a cluster need not all be alive at some particular point in time. If
It would have to like split up resources.
after
I don't think you can force the GPU to do that.
3 agents are in the same cluster, if A could share some memory with B and B could share some memory with C. Note
But then like
within an agent
all you get are shaders
becomes hard to
and then a thing called image.
utter. 62. Copyright sign. ECMA International 2024. Note 4. The purpose of the preceding restriction is to avoid a situation where an agent deadlocks or starves because another agent has been deactivated.
This program's stuck.
If
This program fucking sucks.
it has a lifetime independent of documents in any Windows were allowed to share memory with the dedicated worker of such an independent document. And the document and its dedicated worker were to be deactivated while the dedicated worker holds a lock. Say, the document is pushed into its Windows history, and the shared worker then tries to acquire the lock. Then the shared worker will be blocked until the dedicated worker is activated again.
So you get like an image
Meanwhile, other
that's like whatever's being rendered or something.
from other Windows will starve. The implication of the restriction is that it will not be possible to share memory between agents that don't belong to the same suspend
And they have like
waiting.
semaphores.
Nathan,
They're not called semaphores. They're like something like that.
other agents' prior knowledge.
And then there's fences.
If an
So there's like control flow
automatic action of its own or
to like manage race conditions or whatever.
external to the cluster, then the embedding must choose one of two strategies. Either terminate all the agents in the cluster, or provide reliable APIs that allow the agents in the cluster to coordinate.
It's like the shaders, whatever.
The remaining member of the cluster will be able to
The GPU sucks. I'm so tired of this.
determination data containing enough information to identify the agent that
You make a shader program.
the following specification values, and values transitively reachable from them, belong to exact
And then location.
candidate execute
Is that kind of like
data block, waiter list record,
the binding where I can just pick an arbitrary number?
a script code by any agent in a cluster. The field of the agent record for all agents,
If I can, that makes things a little bit easier.
candidate execution,
Like the main.
action,
This is the main in a shader.
declaration,
which is annoying because it's not the main.
For the associated realm, global this value and
It's like the main slave or something.
hosts may provide any ECMA script object value
So if there's one called like master,
declarative environment record contains
like a master hard drive, slave hard drive, whatever, or primary, secondary.
except for function declaration, generator declaration, a sync function
Like the master drive, then slave drive.
generator declaration, and variable
You don't have access to the main.
names. A list of strings.
So calling this main
Function declaration, generate
seems like a joke,
a sync function declaration, a sync
because it's literally just a fucking shader.
variable declaration declarations in global
And you have like a whole bunch of them.
ECMA International 2024, 43, Table 21, additional methods of global
And they're like tied to the image that's rendered.
finding, return the value of this environment records the
That's like contained
N
or like processed based on defenses.
finding in this environment record that was created using a
And they like submit it.
function
So like this whole process
generator declaration
seems like total bullshit.
function declaration
It's just annoying as fuck.
generator declaration has lexical declaration N
There is no main.
identifier has a binding in this environment record that was created
To call it a main is annoying as hell.
such as a lexical declaration or
It's not a main.
declaration has restricted
The main
N
is whatever is
and is the name of a
managing
property that
defenses and
a global lexical bind
issuing commands to the shaders
determines if a corresponding create global var
to run the image. That's the main.
name argument N can declare
This is not the fucking main.
N determines if a corresponding create global function binding call would succeed.
And everything's talked about
N
in relation to the shader as if it were the main.
create and
And it's annoying because it's like, it's not the main.
the component of a global environment record.
It's backwards.
Table binding. The corresponding global object property will have attribute values appropriate for a var. The string value n is the bound name. If d is true, the binding may be deleted. Logically equivalent to create mutable binding followed by a set mutable binding
So if it's possible
operations to receive special treatment. Create global function bind
to do this,
v.
that'd be great.
Create and initialize a global function
Make it like slightly easier.
of a global environment.
And then,
The binding will be a mutable binding. The corresponding global
so it's like the binding,
attribute values of
this part, whatever.
function
But the set,
is the bound name.
you're supposed to set up, apparently,
Station value
4 descriptor sets. But I think they're like pools.
deleted.
I'm not sure if the pool, whatever it is,
Mutable binding followed by a set
you're supposed to have 4 of them.
class function declaration.
Otherwise you gotta like
Special treatment. The behavior
bind a new one or something.
methods for global environment required
This is so annoying.
by the following algorithm.
So like if you have a GPU that supports more, I think Intel only supports 4
The has binding
per time or whatever. I'm not totally sure what that means yet.
takes argument n a string and returns either a normal
Except
boolean or a
there has to be a way to like
it determines
utilize
fire as one
everything
bound
on the older GPUs,
the following
but also the newer ones,
DCL rec BENV rec if
rather than just like
ending
picking
is true return true
a base set of things and then saying, well, fuck it.
turn obj rec
If you can't support more than 4,
1
you don't get more than 4.
or to create mutable
Which I guess may make sense
D the create mutable binding concrete
if like you're rendering a texture
40 NV rec takes argument
and you gotta load more resources.
and E
But still,
and returns either a normal completion
I don't know.
or a throw completion. It creates a new mutable
Something like,
men that is an initial
I should about this, whatever.
binding is create
It's probably gonna give me a bad answer, whatever. Or it's gonna lie. Or be misleading.
2024
So I don't know, I'll figure it out later.
a binding for and must
So like this stuff though,
in a declarative record. If D is true, the new binding
I need to give the thing like a scene
completion.
to tie to.
Following steps when called let DCL rec BENV rec
Because when it renders the stuff inside create descriptor pool,
N is true. Throw a type error exception. Return. DCL rec create mutable binding. N D, 1 1.
there's a bunch of pieces.
The mutable
This is annoying.
N S
The tutorial
binding concrete method of
doesn't go over any of this. Well, it does,
takes arguments N
but not really.
and S, a boolean.
It just goes so far.
completion containing unused or a throw
all it does is put an image on a quad.
immutable
So that's what I need to focus on for now.
biased
I should just get to the image on the quad.
exist in this environment record for any
Because I can't change anything
binding is marked as a strict binding.
until I at least get that working.
Following steps when called let DC
And at that point I can like
rec if
figure out this stuff.
rec has binding
But this is a point where
throw a type
like create descriptor pool
DCL rec create
where all stuff comes into play.
NS for initialize binding
Because I gotta group up things
the initial
into like 4 different pools.
global environment record ENV rec
If I'm gonna set up how like everyone else sets it up.
MA script language value and returns either a normal completion containing unused.
So that means it's gonna have to call this
It is used to set the bound value of the current binding
4 different times
whose name
based on the pool.
non-initialized binding for n must
So does that mean I make the pool outside of this?
hold. Let DCL rec be ENV rec. If DCL rec has binding n is true, then a return DCL rec initialize binding n
So I make like loop maybe.
if the binding exists.
It's like 4
Object environment record. Let obj rec be env rec. Return
each pool
rec initialize binding n v comma 1
in scene
5 set mutable
for
binding
this scene.
n v s
So like there needs to be a scene
concrete
and there needs to be a pool inside of that scene.
v rec takes arguments n a string
Not a scene.
ma script language value and s a boolean and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion.
A set.
Change the bound value of the
So for each set in the scene,
name is n to the value
the binding's separate.
is an immutable binding and s is true. A type error is thrown. A property name then normally already
So for each set,
is not or is not currently writable. Error handling is determined by s at before
except the set, I think it's like the pool.
DCL rec the env rec. If DCL
So is the pool a set?
n
Oh, this is so annoying.
then a return DCL rec set mutable binding n v s. Let obj rec be env rec. Return
So if the scene has like 4,
n v s comma 1 1 4 6 get
descriptor sets, whatever, collection of descriptor sets, where it's like
value concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes arguments n
per
a boolean and
per frame, material, object, whatever.
script language a value or a throw completion. It returns the value of its bound identifier whose name is n if the binding is an uninitialized binding throw a reference error exception. A property name then normally
We need to loop
does not or is not
however many times for each
handling is
set or whatever
the following steps when called let d
for the scene
env rec
to make all the sets
dl rec has bind
for that scene or whatever.
is true. Then a return dc
So like that's that, right?
value
But then there's also the descriptor sets,
international
and those are separate
240
from the pools.
let obj
So
env rec return
what the fuck do I call this?
value n s comma 1
Is it still this scene?
4 7 delete binding n the
And then do I render,
method of a global environment
do I call this function 8 times here
and returns
to make the 8 different sets?
containing a boolean or a throw completion. It can only delete bindings that have been explicitly designated as being subject to deletion. It performs the following steps when called let dc
And then I call this one down here.
if
I call it like 8 times again.
binding n is true, then a return dcl rec delete binding n let obj rec be env rec let global object be obj rec let existing prop be has own property global object n if existing prop is true, then a let status be obj
Or
binding n
do these get merged together?
and env rec contains n. Then I remove n from env rec c return status return true.
Can I handle them both in the same loop?
8 has this
I don't think it can.
binding concrete
It seems like
environment record env
it needs to be 2 separate loops.
and returns true. It performs the
Or for optimization's sake,
true comma 1
set up for 1 loop.
4
Maybe where it's all merged,
that has super binding
but then set up to handle 2 separate
rectangle
loops in case it's like update 1 without the other. But then it doesn't ever do that.
and fold
It always like
1.
This is annoying as hell.
0 with base object. The with base object concrete
So like this is for like, let's say this is one scene.
rect takes no arguments and return
So if I'm gonna like replace OBS
steps when called return undefined 9
at some point,
4 1 1
this would be like 4 different scenes.
binding concrete method of a global environment record env rect takes no arguments and returns a normal completion containing an object. It performs the following steps when called return env rec 146 ECMA International 2024. Note, global environment records always provided this binding. Note, global environment.
It's like OBS, there's like this scene, this scene, this scene, then there's,
Has var
I just have 4 whatever,
declaration. Global environment.
so that's these 4.
Rec takes argument in a string and returns a boolean. It determines if the argument identifier has a binding
It's like this one like
using a variable statement or a function declaration.
has like the bars,
The following
kind of like technical difficulties, bars, whatever.
rec if bar declared names contain
So like OBS has 4 scenes.
false, comma 1 1 4 1 3 has lexical declaration
So if I want to like replace OBS, the streaming software,
of a global environment record env rec takes argument in a string and returns a boolean. It determines if the argument identifier has a binding in this record that was created using a lexical declaration such as a lexical declaration or a class declaration. It performs the following steps when called let dcl rec be env rec.
this is OBS.
DL rec has
This is what basically everyone uses to stream.
for
The software is terrible.
restricted
It is abysmal. It is pathetic.
global
It is frustrating.
of a
It sucks. And it has another update. I gotta update it again.
a string
Every time it updates,
either a normal
I lose quality.
a boolean
It pisses me off. I don't want to buy a new video card.
and identifier
I don't want a new computer. I don't need a new computer.
that
I don't need a new fucking video card.
binding
Do you know how fucking expensive the fucking video cards are?
bj
For fuck's sake.
rec let global
Pisses me off. It has an update. So that's cool.
global
So I want to dump this fucking software.
defined.
It's terrible.
If existing property
It sucks.
return false, return true.
So I can replace it
2000
after I get this GPU shit figured out.
that can declare
But, for example, whatever, there's 4 scenes
government record
in OBS that I'm using right now.
in a string
I don't need all the flexibility of like
containing a boolean
being able to like move things around the screen.
if a
I
corresponding
just need to set it up and it's done.
call would succeed if called for the same argument and redundant
So if there's 4 scenes,
and var declaration.
I'm gonna need a loop
Global object
to loop through all the scenes
performs the following steps when called
to keep like
jrec
all the parts in different
ejrec
memory sections, whatever.
has own property global object
So then it turns into this,
true
or this turns whatever into this.
is extensible. Global
This is like 0.
properties may exist upon a global object that were directly created rather than being declared using a var or function declaration. A global lexical binding may not be created that has the same name as a non-configurable property of the global object. The global property undefined is an example of such a property. ECMA International 2024 147 9 1 1 4 1 6 can declare global function n that can declare global function concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes argument n a string and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if a corresponding create global function binding call would succeed if called for the same argument, and it performs the following steps when called let objrec be env rec let global object be objrec let
It's like,
n if existing prop is undefined
how the fuck
is
to organize this?
global object if existing prop is
Running separate loops
true if is data
based on the scene.
prop is true and existing prop has attribute values true enumerable true return true
It just gets more and more annoying.
comma 1 1 4 1 7 create global var binding n d
So I have to figure this out too at some point.
create method of a global environment recording
And I gotta get rid of the streaming software.
string and d a boolean and returns either a normal completion containing unused
That's chatbot.
function
I don't know, I gotta like figure out.
initializes
There's only a couple things left to figure out.
object environment record and records the bound name
I at least have this set up where I get the stupid
exists. It is reused
the binded descriptor count enum counts
when called
from metadata
the env
in SC header.
object be
And that's all managed, whatever, automatic.
has own
But the rest of it,
object
the grouping,
that extensible
figuring out like,
is extensible
now I gotta figure that out.
if has property is false and extensible. Perform objrec create mutable binding n d b perform objrec initialize binding n undefined if envrec does not contain n then a appendent to envrec7 return unused
If I dump OBS
418 create global
and use Vulkan
n v d the create global function
to generate
E method of a global environment record envrec takes argument
my YouTube stream,
v an ECMA script language value and e a boolean and returns either a normal completion containing unused
what API
it creates and initial
do I use to connect to YouTube?
associated object environment record and records the bound name in the associated list
And what
already exists it is 2
common video compression
7 8 replaced it performs the
do people use?
fold let objrec be envrec let global object be objrec let existing prop be global object n if existing prop is undefined or
To compress
true then a
the video
property descriptor
frames.
true true d else a let desk be the property descriptor v perform define property
That are sent to YouTube.
n desk perform set global object n v false if envrec does not contain n then a appendent to envrec return unused
It says you're basically talking about replacing OBS with your own encoder plus uploader.
note global function declarations are always represented as own properties of the global object if possible an existing own property is
It says that's very doable,
instead of
but it's important to understand where Vulkan stops and where Video Network APIs take over.
calling the
Does it think I'm stupid?
method
Does it, like
object
fuck you, you stupid fucking chatbot.
proxy trap calls, 5 module environment records, a module
Vulkan is not used. No, duh. Fuck duh.
represent the outer scope of an ECMA script module. In additional to normal
I'm not a fucking idiot.
module environment records also provide
I literally understand. It's a different fucking API for networking.
that exists in another environment record. Module environment records support all of the declarative environment record methods listed in Table 16 and share the same specifications for all of those methods except for get binding value, delete binding, has this binding and in addition,
I would be using
environment records support the methods listed in Table 22
Vulkan to utilize
of module environment
the other GPU
concrete specification methods for module environment records are defined,
on my computer.
1 1 5 1 get
I have 2 installed for that reason.
the get binding value concrete method of a module environment record envrec takes arguments n, a string, and s.
In the fucking OBS software.
There are normal completion containing an ECMA script language value or a throw
Blows.
returns
It fucking eats up resources.
then however, if the binding is an indirect binding the value of the target binding is returned. If the binding exists
On both the fucking video cards.
thrown, it performs the following steps when called assert. S is true, assert. envrec has a bind.
The software is shit.
N is an indirect binding. Then, I let M and N2 be the indirect.
There's no way to even configure
For N was created.
this fucking software.
NVBM. See if target
If you have 2 GPUs installed,
for reference error exception. D return target
it still has to render on one of them.
2.
If you pick the one
For N and envrec is an
that you're using to hold the rendered render,
exception.
it has to render on the other one.
Bound
But if you render it on that same video card,
is be true because the module is always
then it's like unstable. Because the fucking,
1 5 2
it doesn't render in real time.
the
It's a piece of shit.
delete method of a module
It spikes up and down, it gets unstable. And
specific
it says like, oh, the encoder couldn't keep up.
create import binding N M N2. Create an immutable indirect
So like,
environment
if I make my own fucking software,
value
then I could actually use the other video card only for fucking rendering
the binding that
and just stream with that one, and then won't fucking eat up resources on the other one.
this environment records this binding. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024 149. Note module environment records are only used within strict code and
My question
the delete operator
is two parts.
from being applied to a reference
I literally fucking understand.
record binding. C13 5 1 1, 1 1 5 3 has
That the Vulkan API
in concrete method of a module environment recording
does not do networking.
is true. It performs the following steps when called return true, 1 1.
Answer my question again.
This binding, the get this binding concrete method of a module environment record env rec takes no arguments.
Without the bullshit.
Completion containing undefined. It performs the following steps when
I'm literally asking.
1 1 5 create import binding N2. The create import binding concrete method of a
What API do I use to connect to YouTube?
arguments n a string
Asking this specifically.
N2 a string and returns unused. It creates a new initialized immutable.
And
The name NA binding must not
what's the comment compression?
for an N2 is the name of a binding that exists in M's module environment record. Accesses to the value of the new binding will indirectly access the bound value of the target binding. It performs the following steps when called assert.
So it says,
Does not
super the sound, no lecturing, no pipeline talk, no Vulkan doesn't networking filter. Filler.
have a direct binding for N
What API to use to connect to YouTube for live? RTMP.
and that references M
Concurrently use one of these API libraries.
and record that the binding is initialized. 1.2 environment record.
Whatever the fuck that is then.
Abstract operations are used in this specification to operate upon environment records. No.
So is this one?
2. 1 get identifier reference. ENV name strict. The abstract operation get identifier reference takes arguments ENV, an environment record or null, name, a string, and strict, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing a reference record or a
You push RTMP to that socket period.
following steps when called. If ENV is null, then a return the reference record.
So you get a ingest URL
Strict.
and a string key. So that's the whole thing.
Let exists
What video compression is commonly used?
name. If exists is true, then
Okay, so what fucking software?
ENV name strict empty else 150 ECMA International 2024. Note module environment records always provided this binding AB let outer be ENV return get identifier reference outer name strict 9 1
I'll figure this out later.
to new declarative environment E. The abstract operation new declarative environment takes argument E, an environment record or null, and returns a declarative environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let ENV be a new declarative environment record containing no bindings. Set ENV to E. Return ENV, 1, 2, 3 new object environment O, W, E. The abstract operation new object environment takes arguments O, an object, W, a boolean, and E, an environment record or null, and returns an object environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let ENV be a new object environment record. Set ENV to O,
Alright, like,
to
I'm gonna go over what I asked it.
to E. Return ENV, 1, 2, 4 new function environment, F. New target. The abstract operation new function environment takes arguments F, an ECMA script function object, and new target
Well, setting up like this. The
and
binding
function environment.
ID, whatever.
It performs the following steps when called. Let ENV be a new function environment.
Then I gotta like,
Endings. Set ENV to F. If F is lexical, set ENV to lexical. Else, set ENV to an
finish up these two calls.
to new target. Set ENV to F. Return ENV, 1, 2, 5 new global environment. G. This value. The abstract operation new global
And then not make placeholder params.
object. and this value, an object,
I'll just
is a global.
save that for later.
It performs the following steps when called. Let obj rec the new object environment.
So you like set this up and then
Null. Let DCL rec the new declarative environment. Null. Let env be a new global environment.
figure all this stuff out later.
Set
Just like get it running first.
value. Set env to DCL rec. Set env to a new empty list. Set env to null. Return env, 1, 2, 6 new module environment. The abstract operation new module environment takes argument E, an environment record, and returns a module environment record. It performs the
Oh my god, you can do hexadecimal. Wow.
new module environment record containing no bindings. Set env to E. Return env. ECMA International, 2020.2.
So now I can like make the mistake of grouping things up in groups of 16.
Record is a
At some point I'll be like, oh shit,
track private names.
I only have 16
Nesting structure of class
for this grouping.
class expressions in
So I'm happy to make the mistake.
they are
At least I'm able to like
but distinct
group things up like that to make that mistake.
private environment
Because making mistakes is fun.
with a class declaration or class expression. Each time such a class is evaluated, a new private environment record is created to record the private names declared by that class. Each
So it's 32-bit.
record has the fields defined in Table 23. Table 23. Private environment record fields. Field name, value type, meaning, outer private environment. A private environment record
As long as each binding exists,
record of
unused numbers are never referenced.
with which this private environment record is associated is not contained in any other class. Names, a list of private names. The private names
This is each binding has a descriptor.
2. 1 private environment record operations. The following abstract operations are used in this specification to operate upon private environment records. 9. 2. 1. 1 new private environment. Outer privy NV. The abstract operation new private environment takes argument outer privy.
Can you design a semantic ID map like you should, for example?
Returns a
Yes, this will technically work, but here's a quick reality check.
following steps when
Why is this not scale the way you think?
list. Return the private environment record.
You still only bound one descriptor.
1. To resolve private identifier. Privy NV. Identifier. The
If you do this,
resolve
you have found 3 textures, not 430 of them.
private environment record. And identify
The GPU does not see your hierarchy.
returns a private name. It performs the following steps when called. Let names be privy NV.
There are flat keys. Well, duh.
Do. AFPN is identifier. Then, I return PN. Let outer privy NV be privy NV. Assert. Outer privy NV is not null. Return resolve private identifier. Outer privy NV. Identifier. Point 3 realms. Before it is evaluated, all ECMA script code must be associated with a realm. Conceptually, a realm consists of a set of intrinsic objects, an ECMA script global environment, all of the ECMA script code that is loaded within the scope of that global environment, and other associated steps.
Well, I can prove a way to do what you actually want.
Specify
If your intent is, I want a large logical ID space, sparse, routed by type. Yeah, that was my intention.
for international
The Vulkan gives you exactly one real solution.
realm record fields, field name, agent signifier,
And then texture, texture material, texture ID.
V, template map, an object
Where texture ID comes from UBO,
signifier,
descriptor count, not binding number.
basic keys and whose values are object.
The only scalable design.
And record, a list of records, with fields, a template literal, parse node, and V, an array, F, the agent that owns this realm, the global object for this realm, the G,
I don't get it. This is annoying.
realm, meaning, the intrinsic values used by code associated with this realm, a list of records, with fields are, a string, and a module record. Note 1 once a parse node,
So last time,
the corresponding is also unreachable, and it would be unobservable if an implementation removed the pair from
I said I'll put it again.
default value is undefined. Note 2 as mentioned in host load imported module 16.2.1.8 note 1 in realm records is only used when running an import. Expression in a context where there is no active script or module. Field reserved for use by hosts that need to associate additional information with a realm record. Template objects are canonicalized separately for each realm using its realm records. Each value is a parse node that is a template literal. The associated ALU is the corresponding template object that is passed to a tag function, a map from the specifier strings imported by this realm to the solved module record. The list does not contain two different records with the same 9, 3, 1 create realm. The abstract operation create realm takes no arguments and returns a realm record. It performs the following steps when called let realm rec be a new realm record. Perform create intrinsics. Realm rec, set realm rec to agent signifier, set realm rec to undefined, set realm rec to undefined, set realm rec to a new empty list, return realm rec, ECMA International 2024 153, 9, 3, 2 create intrinsics. Realm rec, the abstract operation create intrinsics takes argument realm rec, a realm record, and returns unused. It performs the following steps when called set realm rec to a new record. Set fields of realm rec with the values listed in table 6. The field names are the names listed in column 1 of the table. The value of each field is a new object value fully and recursively populated with property values as defined by the specification of each object in clauses 19 through 28. All object property values are newly created object values. All values that are built-in function objects are created by performing create built-in function.
Man, Chipbot sucks ass.
Name, slots, realm rec, prototype. Where steps is the definition of that function provided by this specification. Name is the initial value of the function's name property. Length is the initial value of the function's length property. Slots is a list of the names, if any, of the function's specified internal slots. And prototype is the specified value of the function's internal slot. The creation of the intrinsics and their properties must be ordered to avoid any dependencies upon objects that have not yet been created. Perform add restrict. Add function properties. Realm rec, return unused, 3.3 set realm global object, realm rec, global obj, this value. The abstract operation set realm global object takes arguments realm rec, a realm record, global obj, an object or undefined, and this value, an object or undefined, and returns unused. It performs the following steps when called if global obj is undefined. Then, A. Let intrinsics be realm rec. B. Set global obj to ordinary object create, intrinsics, assert. Global obj is an object if this value is undefined. Set this value to global obj, set realm rec to global obj, let new global env be new global environment, global obj, this value, set realm rec to new global env, return unused, 3.4 set default global bindings, realm rec, the abstract operation set default global bindings takes argument realm rec, a realm record, and returns either a normal completion containing an object or a throw completion. It performs the following steps when called let global be realm rec. For each property of the global object specified in clause 19, do
Here, whatever.
string value of the property name. B. Let desc be the fully populated data property descriptor for the property, containing the specified attributes for the property. For properties listed in 19.2, 19.3, or 19.4, the value of the attribute is the corresponding intrinsic object from realm rec. C. Perform. Define property or throw, global, name, desk, return global, point for execution context.
Where do I spell sense? The C.
Specification device that is used to evaluation of code by an EMCA-script implementation. At any point in time, there is at most one execution context per agent that is actually executing code. This is known as the agent's running execution context. All references to the running execution context in this specification denote the running execution context of the surrounding agent. The execution context stack is used to track execution contexts. The
It's like this, whatever.
context is always the top element of this.
The binding.
A new execution context
So, what is it? Albedo texture? Normal texture sampler?
code associated
This is what I
execute
would like use for
code that is not associated with that. 54.
The binding ID.
For international
To pick like player texture, rock texture.
text, the
Then I have the shader.
execution
Pick a freaking binding ID
and becomes the running execution context
for that
contains what
whatever rock shader.
is necessary to
Pass in
progress of its associated
the texture whatever
context.
to like the rock ID.
Table 25. Table 20.
Binding.
State components for all
So I'm rendering all the rocks.
component purpose
That's where
and state. Any state
that memory would be.
suspend and resume evaluation
Huh.
associated with this execution context.
Those overlap.
If this execution context is evaluating the code of a function object, then
There's way too many ways to like group things.
function object. If the context is evaluating the code of a script or module, the value is null. Realm, the realm record from which associated code accesses ECMA script resources, script or module. The module record or script record from which associated code originates. If there is no originating script or module, as is the case for the original execution context created in initialize host defined realm, the value is null. Evaluation of code by the running execution context may be suspended at various points.
I'll figure this out later.
Once the running execution context has been suspended, a different execution context may become the running execution context and commence evaluating its code. At some later time, a suspended
I need to convert this stuff
become the running execution
and not plan ahead.
evaluating its code at the point where it had previously been suspended. Transition of the running execution context state usually occurs in stack like last in first out.
I saved to back up.
However, some ECMA script features require non-LIFO transitions of the running
It's right here, I guess.
The value of the realm component of the running execution context is also called the current realm record.
It is where I gotta like
Function component,
just get going, finish this up.
also called the active function object. ECMA script code execution contexts have the additional state components listed in Table 26. Table 26. Additional state components for ECMA script code execution contexts. Component purpose. Lexical environment identifies the environment record used to resolve identifier references made by code with
So uniform buffer objects go here.
variable.
Then
Identifies the environment
things that don't have uniform buffer object
record statements.
here,
Execution context.
which would be like nothing.
Environment identifies the private environment record that holds private names created by class elements in the.
And then whatever routine that needs to be carried out
There is no
in either case goes here.
lexical environment and variable environment components of an execution
And whatever has to be carried out before
record.
for either of those cases goes here.
Texts representing the evaluation of
And this is like separate loops right now.
component.
Later on I gotta like,
27.
or separate branches in one loop.
150.
Later on I gotta split it up
Additional
into separate
generator execution context. Most situations of
arrays
execution
to have separate loops for each.
the execution context stack
And then I can thread it too
by algorithms within this.
to put like different
Hence, when the terms lexical environment and variable environment are used,
loops on different threads, but also different
running execution context
collection of arrays, whatever, that are loops.
mechanism and need not
Or set up one thread
other artifact
for only UBO things, uniform buffer object, that's up another thread
for each
for like shared
to direct
descriptor things.
execution
So I don't know, whatever I do.
.1 get
And then some things aren't useful.
abstract
But right now it's like one single
takes no argument,
loop
earns
for everything
a module record or null
with this macro wrapper.
script
So later on, if I thread it or decide to thread it, it'll be easier to like
following step
change it behind the scenes.
execution context stack is
So it still looks like this,
null.
but then behind the scenes it does whatever.
Execution context on the execution context stack whose script or module component is not null. If no such
So this stuff, the stupid counts.
null. Otherwise, return X script or module, 4.2
I need to just get this done.
name, E
So yesterday I got the counts working.
operation resolve binding
Gotta get that stuff in place for here,
and optional arg,
and then here.
an environment record or undefined, and returns either a normal completion contain
Because right now it calls this.
throw completion. It is used to determine the bind
So I gotta take this,
be used to explicitly provide the
You see here.
is to be searched for the binding. It performs the following steps when called if env is not present or env is undefined.
And this works for
The running
these currently.
lexical environment assert. env is an environment record if the source text matched by the syntactic production that is being evaluated is contained in strict mode. Code
So that works for these.
true. Else let
But now I got it set up to actually count the stuff,
identify a ref
the resources,
the name strict, 4.3
whatever you want to call it.
the abstract operation,
Now I need to update this
no arguments and
to use
record. It finds the
the new counters.
currently supplied.
And then also put in here
It performs
this same code,
let env be the running execute
except it's slightly different.
environment 2. Repeat component purpose generator the generator that this execution context is evaluating. 100
So it's the same, but it's a little bit different
National 2024.
than the code
Always a reference record whose field is name.
that is these.
Let exists be env has this binding.
So like there's whatever difference, whatever I gotta like
Let outer be
do between both halves, whatever.
is not null.
And then when these are set up,
Note the loop in
after it's set up,
terminate because the list of ends
and I get the stupid image
with the globe
on the quad,
which has this binding, 4.4 resolve.
and does that,
The abstract operation resolve this binding
then I can like finally export from Blender
contain an
a stupid monkey head
value
or make Shrek or whatever, export it, and then
keyword this using
render it.
of the running execution context. It performs the following steps.
So I'll put it onto the GPU.
This environment
And then that's done. And then I still have to get back to JavaScript
get new target
because I'm streaming
operation get new target takes no arguments and returns an object or
as I finish up the JavaScript engine.
unends the new target value using the lexical environment of the running execution
I probably have to make a video game engine.
steps.
All of it relates.
vrec beget this
But I gotta get back to JavaScript.
rec has a field.
So I need to like not spend so much time on this.
6 get global
There's so much shit to figure out.
get global object takes no arguments and returns an object.
So I'll figure this stuff out later.
Object used by the currently running execution context. It performs
The binding, whatever.
when called 2.5. Let
I need more water.
current realm record. Return current realm. Jobs and host operations to enquire jobs. A job is an abstract closure with no
So I'm gonna set this stuff up,
an ECMA script.
get it running, and then
MA script
this call's done.
is currently in progress. Jobs are scheduled for execution by
Then I got this call.
15 by
There's one more call,
their agent.
and then this will finally be done.
Times the host hooks host
And it should render a stupid image on a cube
H
or a quad, whatever.
T capital E
I need to focus and get this done. I'm so tired of this.
E U E capital F I
I need more freaking water.
L
Winter is so dry,
T
but so is summer.
O N
Everything sucks.
R E G I S T R host enquire promise job and host enquire timeout job to schedule jobs. The host hooks in this specification are organized by the additional constraints imposed on the scheduling of jobs. Hosts may define additional abstract operations which schedule jobs. Such operations accept a job abstract closure and a realm record or null, as parameters. If a realm record is provided, these operations schedule the job to be performed at some future time in the provided realm, in the agent that owns the realm. If null is provided instead for the realm, then the job does not evaluate ECMA script code. Their implementations must conform to the following requirements. At some future point in time, when there is no running context in the agent for which the job is scheduled and that agent's execution context stack is empty, the implementation must perform any host-defined preparation steps, invoke the job abstract closure, perform any host-defined cleanup steps, after which the execution context stack must be empty. Only one job may be actively undergoing evaluation at any point in time in an agent. Once evaluation of a job starts, it must run to completion before evaluation of any other job starts in an agent. The abstract closure must return a normal completion, implementing its own handling of errors. ECMA International 2024-157. Note 1 host environments are not required to treat jobs uniformly with respect to scheduling. For example, web browsers and Node.js treat promise handling jobs as a higher priority than other work. Future features may add jobs that are not treated at such a high priority at any particular time. Script or module. A script record, a module record, or null, is the active script or module if all of the following conditions are true. Get active script or module. Is script or module. If script or module is a script record or module record. Let EC be the topmost execution context on the execution context stack whose script or module component is script or module. The realm component of EC is script or module. At any particular time, an execution is prepared to evaluate EMCA-262 code if all of the following conditions are true. The execution context stack is not empty. The realm component of the topmost execution context on the execution context stack is a realm record. Particular kinds of jobs have additional conformance requirements. 5.1 Job callback records. A job callback record is a record value used to store a function object and a host-defined value. Function objects that are invoked via a job enquire by the host may have additional host-defined context. To propagate the state, job abstract closures should not capture and call function objects directly. Instead, use host-make-job callback and host-call-job callback. Job callback records have the fields listed in Table 28. Table 28. Job callback record fields, 5.2 host-make-job callback. Callback. The host-defined abstract operation host-make-job callback takes argument callback, a function object, and returns a job callback record. An implementation of host-make-job callback must conform to the following requirements. It must return a job callback record whose field is callback. Note to host environments may prepare an execution to evaluate code by pushing execution contexts onto the execution context stack. The specific steps are implementation defined. The specific choice of realm is up to the host environment. This initial execution context and realm is only in use before any callback function is invoked. When a callback function related to a job, like a promise handler, is invoked, the invocation pushes its own execution context and realm. Note the WHATWG-HTML specification, https://html.spec.whatwg.org, for example, uses the host-defined value to propagate the incumbent settings object for promise callbacks. Field name, value, meaning, callback, a function object, the function to invoke when the job is invoked. Host-defined, anything default value is empty. Field reserved for use by hosts. 158, ECMA International 2024. The default implementation of host-make-job callback performs the following steps when called. 1. Return the job callback record. Callback. Empty. EMCA-262 hosts that are not web browsers must use the default implementation of host-make-job callback, 5.3 host call job callback. Job callback. V. Arguments list. The host-defined abstract operation host call job callback takes arguments job callback, a job callback record, V, an EMCA-262 language value, and arguments list, a list of EMCA-262 language values, and returns either a normal completion containing an EMCA-262 language value or a throw completion. An implementation of host call job callback must conform to the following requirements. It must perform and return the result of call. Job callback. V. Arguments list. The default implementation of host call job callback performs the following steps when called. Assert. Is callable. Job callback. Is true. Return. Call. Job callback. Callback. V. Arguments list. EMCA-262 hosts that are not web browsers must use the default implementation of host call job callback, 5.4 host enquire generic job. Job. Realm. The host-defined abstract operation host enquire generic job takes arguments job, a job abstract closure, and realm, a realm record, and returns unused. It schedules job in the realm in the agent signified by realm to be performed at some future time. The abstract closures used with this algorithm are intended to be scheduled without additional constraints, such as priority and ordering. An implementation of host enquire generic job must conform to the requirements in 9.5, 9.5, 5 host enquire promise job. Job. Realm. The host-defined abstract operation host enquire promise job takes arguments job, a job abstract closure, and realm, a realm record or null, and returns unused. It schedules job to be performed at some future time. The abstract closures used with this algorithm are intended to be related to the handling of promises, or otherwise, to be scheduled with equal priority to promise handling operations. An implementation of host enqueue promise job must conform to the requirements in 9.5 as well as the following. If realm is not null, each time job is invoked, the implementation must perform implementation-defined steps such that execution is prepared to evaluate ECMA script code at the time of job's invocation. Let script or module beget active script or module at the time host enqueue promise job is invoked. If realm is not null, each time job is invoked, the implementation must perform implementation-defined steps such that script or module is the active script or module at the time of job's invocation. Jobs must run in the same order as the host enqueue promise job invocations that scheduled them. Note this is called at the time that the callback is passed to the function that is responsible for its being eventually scheduled and run. For example, promise then action, calls make job callback on then action at the time of invoking promise prototype then, not at the time of scheduling the reaction job. Note this requirement means that hosts cannot change the behavior of function objects defined in this specification. ECMA International 2024-159. Note the realm for jobs returned by new promise resolved thenable job is usually the result of calling get function realm on the then function object. The realm for jobs returned by new promise reaction job is usually the result of calling get function realm on the handler if the handler is not undefined. If the handler is undefined, realm is null. For both kinds of jobs, when get function realm completes abnormally, that is called on a revoked proxy, realm is the current realm record at the time of the get function realm call. When the realm is null, no user ECMA script code will be evaluated and no new ECMA script objects, for example error objects, will be created. The WHATWG-HTML specification, https://html.spec.whatwg.org, for example, uses realm to check for the ability to run script and for the entry, https://html.spec.whatwg.org entry. Concept, 5.6 host enqueue timeout job, realm, milliseconds. The host-defined abstract operation host enqueue timeout job takes arguments timeout job, a job abstract closure, realm, a realm record, and milliseconds, a non-negative finite number, and returns unused. It schedules timeout job in the realm in the agent signified by realm to be performed after at least milliseconds. An implementation of host enqueue timeout job must conform to the requirements in 9.5, 9.6 initialize host defined realm. The abstract operation initialize host defined realm takes no arguments and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It performs the following steps when called. Let realm be create realm. Let new context be a new execution context. Set the function of new context to null. Set the realm of new context to realm. Set the script or module of new context to null. Push new context onto the execution context stack. New context is now the running execution context. If the host requires use of an exotic object to serve as realm's global object, let global be such an object, created in a host-defined manner. Otherwise, let global be undefined, indicating that an ordinary object should be created as the global object. If the host requires that this binding in realm's global scope return an object other than the global object, let this value be such an object created in a host-defined manner. Otherwise, let this value be undefined, indicating that realm's global this binding should be the global object. Perform set realm global object, realm, global, this value 0. Let global obj be. Set default global bindings, realm 1. Create any host-defined global object properties on global obj 2. Return unused. 7 agents. An agent comprise is a set of ECMA script execution contexts, an execution context stack, a running execution context, an agent record, and an executing thread. Except for the executing thread, the constituents of an agent belong exclusively to that agent. An agent's executing thread executes algorithmic steps on the agent's execution contexts independently of other agents, except that an executing thread may be used as the executing thread by multiple agents, provided none of the agents sharing the thread have an agent record whose field is true. Note 1. Some web browsers share a single executing thread across multiple unrelated tabs of a browser window. For example, 60. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024. While an agent's executing thread is executing algorithmic steps, the agent is the surrounding agent for those steps. The steps use the surrounding agent to access the specification level execution objects held within the agent, the running execution context, the execution context stack, and the agent record S fields. An agent signifier is a globally unique opaque value used to identify an agent. Table 29. Agent record fields. Field name, value, meaning, little endian, a boolean. The default value computed for the is little endian parameter when it is needed by the algorithms get value from buffer and set value in buffer. The choice is implementation defined and should be the alternative that is most efficient for the implementation. Once the value has been observed, it cannot change. Can block, a boolean, determines whether the agent can block or not. Signifier, an agent signifier, uniquely identifies the agent within its agent cluster. Is lock-free 1, a boolean, true if atomic operations on 1 byte values are lock-free. False otherwise. Is lock-free 2, a boolean, true if atomic operations on 2 byte values are lock-free. False otherwise. Is lock-free 8, a boolean, true if atomic operations on 8 byte values are lock-free. False otherwise. Candidate execution. A. Candidate execution record. See the memory model. Kept alive. A list of either objects or symbols. Initially a new empty list, representing the list of objects and or symbols to be kept alive until the end of the current job. Once the values of and have been observed by any agent in the agent cluster, they cannot change. Note 2. The values of and are not necessarily determined by the hardware, but may also reflect implementation choices that can vary over time and between EMCA-script implementations. There is no field. 4-byte atomic operations are always lock-free. In practice, if an atomic operation is implemented with any type of lock, the operation is not lock-free. Lock-free does not imply wait-free. There is no upper bound on how many machine steps may be required to complete a lock-free atomic operation. That an atomic access of size n is lock-free does not imply anything about the perceived atomicity of non-atomic accesses of size n. Specifically, non-atomic accesses may still be performed as a sequence of several separate memory accesses. See read shared memory and write shared memory for details. ECMA International 2024 161. Note 3. An agent is a specification mechanism and need not correspond to any particular artifact of an EMCA-script implementation. 7.1 Agent signifier. The abstract operation agent signifier takes no arguments and returns an agent signifier. It performs the following steps when called. Let AR be the agent record of the surrounding agent. Return AR, 7.2 Agent can suspend. The abstract operation agent can suspend takes no arguments and returns a boolean. It performs the following steps when called. 2.8 Let AR be the agent record of the surrounding agent. Return AR. Agent clusters. Note in some environments it may not be reasonable for a given agent to suspend. 4. Example, in a web browser environment, it may be reasonable to disallow suspending a document's main event handling thread, while still allowing workers' event handling threads to suspend. An agent cluster is a maximal set of agents that can communicate by operating on shared memory. Every agent belongs to exactly one agent cluster. All agents within a cluster must have the same value for the field in their respective agent records. All agents within a cluster must have the same values for the field in their respective agent records. Similarly for the field, all agents within a cluster must have different values for the field in their respective agent records. An embedding may deactivate, stop forward progress, or activate, resume forward progress, an agent without the agent's knowledge or cooperation. If the embedding does so, it must not leave some agents in the cluster active while other agents in the cluster are deactivated indefinitely. Note 1. Programs within different agents may share memory by unspecified means. At a minimum, The backing memory for shared array buffers can be shared among the agents in the cluster. There may be agents that can communicate by message passing that cannot share memory. They are never in the same agent cluster. Note to the agents in a cluster need not all be alive at some particular point in time. If agent A creates another agent B, after which A terminates and B creates agent C, the three agents are in the same cluster if A could share some memory with B and B could share some memory with C. Note 3: if different agents within an agent cluster have different values of it becomes hard to use shared memory for multi-byte data. 62. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024. Note 4. The purpose of the preceding restriction is to avoid a situation where an agent deadlocks or starves because another agent has been deactivated. For example, if an HTML shared worker that has a lifetime independent of documents in any Windows were allowed to share memory with the dedicated worker of such an independent document, and the document and its dedicated worker were to be deactivated while the dedicated worker holds a lock, say,